evening all, welcome. In this video I just wanted to have a quick chat about the MOT test and the controversial move that Grant Shapps, the Transport Secretary, announced back in April, I think it was April, May, and that he was looking at the option of extending this to every 2 years in order to try and ease the cost of living. This is my thoughts from a mechanic's point of view. I'm not an MOT tester, but I am a mechanic, but I do feel as though I see it from both sides, and as obviously the car owner myself as well, I have to take my own car to the MOT garage, so I do see that side of things as well. There could be benefits to this. The benefit that they're obviously insinuating is the cost of the MOT itself. The maximum garage or an MOT garage can charge for an MOT is £54.85 in the UK. That's the maximum. I've never known any garage to charge that. Realistically, on average, I think you're talking maybe 40 or 45 quid for an MOT. There are some fast fit chains that'll do offers sometimes £25, £30, £35, something like that. But generally speaking, or at least in my experience, I think you're looking at about £40 for an MOT. So £40 for itself, that's a lot of money to a lot of people, especially nowadays, that you can get, a little bit of food of that, in a pack of nappies, baby milk, that's a lot of money, and we need that. But £40 per year is neither there, here or there, is it really? I mean, perhaps you've got the cost of taking your car to the MOT garage, the inconvenience of maybe taking a little bit of time off work to deal with any issues that arise afterwards. But realistically, that's what you're looking at saving around £40. The downsides to these, mainly safety concerns. In my experience, there's so many cars out there that are still driving around with MOT advisories from the last MOT. No one ever tends to get these fixed. They'll be driving around for another year as well, potentially causing further damage to other parts. To give you an example, I was once doing an MOT on a car, I think it was a VW Polo, Golf or Passat, something like that. I honestly can't remember, it's that long ago now. But we did advise on rear brake pads being worn down. We felt a little bit under pressure not to be pushing this on the customer because we knew that he didn't have a lot of money and he was barely keeping the car on the road as it was. But it wasn't an MOT failure at the time. There were still maybe 2.5 mil, 2 mil. They were getting low, and this was a high mileage owner as well. So this was advised. The customer left it. He didn't have the pads replaced. The following year, these were worn down metal to metal, and obviously we failed it on the pads, but as a result it also caused damage to the discs. When we stripped the brakes down, the caliper was seized, the piston was seized in the caliper, so that wouldn't push back, so it needed a new caliper. So it needed pads, disc, caliper. The brake line twisted when we were trying to remove it from the rear of the caliper, so we had to make a brake line up. It then needed brake fluid as well, plus the cost of all the labour on top of it. So if this car had waited 2 years, that could potentially have been a much dangerous situation than what it already was. But had he just sorted it there and then on the advisory, worst case scenario, it would have been pads and discs, and that's it. But if that car had been allowed to go out for 2 years like that, who knows what could have happened. Things like tyres, the amount of cars I've seen come in for air conditioning problems, Bluetooth not working, or to have a dash cam fitted, and I'll just notice that the tyres are worn out and mention this to the customer, and the customer's not bothered. They just want the car to be cool inside. If they can't see it, feel it, then they won't bother, which is why things like brake pad, wear sensors, service lights, engine management lights are all really good, because it annoys the hell out of people to get in the car sorted. So now look, I am a mechanic, but I don't care if it means less MOT fees can be charged. Then I'm all for people saving a little bit of money, but I personally don't do MOTs myself, but I do take a few cars for the MOT. So it is a lot of hassle taking cars back and forth, and I prefer cars not to fail, but at the same time I don't want people to have A, safety issues, and B, bigger bills because they're not kept on top of things. The other issue here is the MOT garage itself. A typical garage will generally lose money on MOTs as it takes around 45 minutes to an hour. There's things to consider, like the astronomical cost of startup. So the cost to start up an MOT garage costs, thousands and thousands of thousands, with the MOT ramp and the licensing and the training and everything that's involved. Garages generally use the MOTs as a loss leader. These garages all of a sudden start seeing MOTs drop by 50%, or MOT customers 50% less. There's a good chance they will become a lot harsher, a lot stricter with the tests, and as the car can roadworthy for another 2 years, the reason for this is because cars are not going to be, they've now got to think that this car's got to be roadworthy for 2 years, so something that they may have advised on before, thinking, well, with this mileage that the customer's doing and it's only going to be 12 months, will this last? They've now got to think 24 months and double the mileage, so the likely it's going to be less stricter for them. Now, I do see a lot of death traps. It's not always people's fault. You can't expect people who are not mechanics to pick up on faults. So this is why I feel it's better that cars are checked every 12 months, especially since manufacturer service schedules are every 2 years. Or people nowadays maybe skipping the services altogether because of the cost of living crisis. Doing anything they possibly can to save a little bit of money. All this, combined and taking all this into account, I feel this is a very small potential monetary saving for a very big risk. You know, at £40, £50 here and there, it is a lot of money to people, a lot of people, but I don't feel it's that, you know, it's worth the risk personally. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's something that we need to trial and see how we go. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave a comment below. We'll have a chat about it, we'll have a debate about it. If you haven't done already, please consider liking the video and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.